Fellas, say goodbye to Chuck Sherman the boy. I am now a man. I highly recommend you join the club. We are doing the wild thing all night.
Acid house music.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sherm.
Sherman, I cook all this food. Is that all you gonna eat?
General Sherman realized and understood the importance of house music.
So, do you know anything about techno?
No.
Listen.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Sherm in the Booth. I'm, of course, your host, Sherm. Today is Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. Wait. It's really September 1st? Sheesh. Well, just because summer's coming to a close doesn't mean that we're slowing down, because we have a big interview for episode 176. I am so excited to have the incredibly talented DJ producer Kaysin on for 176. Nick is truly an awesome person, and we had a blast getting his full story in this one. In 176, we covered the bases, and we started by talking about his early inspirations and influences. Born and raised in Southern California, Kaysin was always immersed in music and art culture from a young age. Eventually, he was exposed to electronic music in high school and almost immediately wanted to get involved in the community. He bought his first mixer in college and started producing house music until he made the jump to pursuing music as more than a hobby. Kaysin was born. Also really enjoyed talking about his discography so far. Kaysin is a super dope producer and continues to evolve his sound by clocking hours in the studio every day. He's put out some incredible music, including 2 EPs called Groove on Display and Beliefs via Get Twisted, a poppin remix of Will Taylor's The Way with John Summit via South of Saturn, and most recently another incredible remix of Eyes Everywhere and Dread MC's Tell Them via Rock Bottom Records, and I heard that shit go off in the club a few weeks ago. To put it simply, this guy is a certified hitmaker who's just getting started. We also had a great conversation talking about his role as A&R of Repopulate Mars and South of Saturn. Kaysin has been involved with these labels since the early days and has played an important role in the massive amount of growth and success over the years. We went deep and discussed his role as A&R and process for approving new music, along with what they look for in new demos. Not only do they release incredible music, but they know how to throw a party. Mad love to Lee Foss and the gang. Kaysin was dropping knowledge bombs left and right throughout this interview, and I felt like I was talking to a lifelong friend the entire time. Straight up, this guy is the homie. Thank you so much for making some time to come on, and I can't wait to hang out with you in person soon, my man. Now let's get into it right now so you guys can hear his full story for yourselves. This is episode 176 with Kaysin. Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to a very fucking special episode of Sherm in the Booth. I am honored to be here today with Nick Summers, aka Kaysin. Kaysin, how the hell are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm fantastic. I'm so excited about this. Like I said, I've been doing my research on you for a while, and I've ended up down a few rabbit holes. And when I say I'm the biggest Kaysin fan in the world, I am. I literally am. I thought I was before, but there's something about when I listen to somebody's music that I'm going to interview, I really listen to it. I put on the good headphones. I run through the timeline of when you release music, and it's just so cool to see how far you've come really in a relatively short period of time. We were talking before we went online. The shit can take a long time to make it, whatever that even means. So
right. Congratulations
to you on everything you've accomplished so far, and the future is very bright for you, sir.
I appreciate it. Thanks for taking a listen.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan.
Hell yeah. But I get that though, the active listening versus the passive listening. Yeah. I feel that for sure. As an A&R, I definitely feel that. Otherwise, I'd be horrible on my job.
Oh no. So you're saying some tracks maybe have gone through and you're like, nah, I didn't actually hear anything there.
Yeah. Because sometimes it's listening to music when it's a background versus when you're, really sitting there focused, not checking Instagram and such. It's different.
Oh, yeah, dude, I know the distractions as well. You got to sit there, focus, really, really listen. When I'm going hunting for music, I can't even be stoned. I have to be sober, really just focused.
Sit in there.
Where am I going? How am I doing this? Yeah. Sometimes I'll even put my fucking earplugs in and put on some nice headphones and really crank in and be like, I need to feel like I'm at the show right now. What's going to make it on the USB tonight? Exactly.
Lock the door.
Lock the door. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Do not disturb. Hell yeah, man. So you're in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah. I live in Encino, based just outside of Los Angeles.
Awesome, bro. You're a SoCal guy though till you die.
Yeah. I was born and raised. I was born in Thousand Oaks. I don't know how well you know Southern California, but I was born in Thousand Oaks, which is like an hour outside of LA. Then I lived in Santa Barbara for a couple years, and then now I live in LA. So SoCal, I've never lived anywhere else. Yeah.
Is that where your family's from too?
Yes. Yeah. So all my family's out here, and pretty much all my friends are out, well, more or less out here. So yeah, I definitely think I'm staying here long term. Things can always change, but
sure,
I don't really see myself going elsewhere in the foreseeable future, I would say.
Yeah, no, I understand that, man. I actually was born in Santa Monica. My mom and dad were going to UCLA, and I moved shortly after I was born, maybe like 8 to 10 months. But I've got a lot of family friends out there, and Los Angeles has a very special place in my heart, man. It's an amazing city, so much diversity, so much culture. I don't have to tell you, the music scene is incredible.
Yeah, it's busting. It's amazing.
It's a special place, man. And it's just like, it's just fucking cool, man. Your weather, don't get me started. I'm selling myself on LA right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think it might be time for you to come out here.
No, I'm going to stay in Chicago and tough through the winters like a Midwesterner.
Sounds good. I'll be sitting here at 70 degrees.
All right. Yeah. All right. Jesus Christ. I'm not going to win this battle, am I? Nick, I always like to start off these interviews with a special question. And you've been back on the road playing a lot of shows, and they've looked amazing. I'm surprised that this was not going to be the answer to your new track, but what song that you've been dropping in every single set that's maybe brand new or unreleased?
Of my tracks or other people's tracks?
Whatever track it is, whatever one that comes to your head.
I would say one track that's been the most impactful over the last few sets is one of my singles that's coming out in a couple months.
Ooh.
It's a single coming out with Dylan Nathaniel to collab. We have a couple tracks that we made. But this one's coming out, I think, in November, and this has been hands down the most impactful track that I've been dropping, the best reaction, which is amazing because usually my best reactions might not be my own tracks. So for this to be the best reaction in the last few months has been pretty awesome.
Oh my gosh, there's nothing like it, right?
Yeah, for sure. So that's been good. As far as like tracks from other people, I'd say some of the tracks that Joshua has been putting out. Are you familiar with Joshua? Yeah,
absolutely.
So we have one of his tracks coming out of Repopulate Mars this Friday, but I have a bunch of his unreleased tracks, and that guy is just on another level, to be honest. I'm a huge fan of his, and I've been dropping his, a few of his unreleased tracks, and they go off.
Oh my God. How's it been to be back playing live music again, though? I know it's been a few months, but it's still probably pretty special.
It feels amazing. I mean, just, after not playing any gigs for basically a year, just playing live streams and such.
Which did look fun, though, by the way. A lot of those that you did.
Yeah, the live streams are really cool. I played a few cool ones with Insomniac and Repopulate Mars, and I enjoyed them. Like, I had a lot of fun. It was a different experience, but
for sure,
obviously, playing, looking at cameras and stuff is, totally different than playing to a crowd. And I knew that I missed it, but I didn't realize how much I actually missed it until I went back and played like my first club gig after so long. And then once I got up on stage, I was playing, I was like, okay, this is like, I remember how this felt.
Crank that booth monitor a little bit, eh?
A little redlining.
If you ain't redlining, you ain't headlining.
You ain't headlining, exactly.
Fuck that shit, man. That's for the fucking amplifier to figure out. Let me pass that shit.
We got a sound tech for a reason.
That's right, man. That's right. That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes you don't know what you got till it's gone, and I feel you on that, right?
Totally.
Like, it was a slow burn over the pandemic for me, and there were a lot of blessings in disguise. Obviously, there was so much hurt and pain that went all over the world. But from a personal perspective, I was able to focus on music, the podcast, grow my footprint, meet so many amazing people. We talked about DJ Susan, so many people like that. And I just am feeling really grateful, trying to look at things on the bright side. And that's why I'm excited to connect with you today, man, because you've come up so much in interviews, personal conversations. I mean, you're a G, bro.
All bad, I'm sure. No, I was kidding.
All bad. Yeah. Fuck Kaysin. That's what everybody says. This guy won't sign my fucking track.
I'm sure that comes up occasionally, though.
Yeah. Of course, man. But
man, that's awesome. I've seen a bunch of the clips, and I've watched your interviews and stuff, and the stuff you've done with Susan. You did something with Sid the other day, I think. And
dude, absolute G.
I've tuned in and everything like that. So I was super stoked that you asked me to do it, because I was kind of like, I'd love to get involved with that, but I was like, I'll wait, if he asked me, and then, it worked out.
Lo and behold, here we are.
There it goes. It was a great fit.
I have a process, man. I have a process.
You do?
I absolutely. I'm not going to.
I won't. I was going to say, I won't ask you to reveal your secrets, but I'm sure you do.
I'll tell you one strategy I took actually over the last year is I made a list of 100 DJs and producers, no matter how big or small. And you were on that list, and I just started reaching out to people like one by one, and not even being like immediately, hey, do you want to come on the podcast? But I think probably just as well as anybody how important relationships are in the music industry. It's said before we went online,
everything.
The deeper you get, the smaller it seems. Not smaller in the sense where it's like, oh, there's only like 5 decision makers, but like this person knows this person knows that person, and we're all friends, especially in the house music space, man. Like
100%.
What an incredible scene behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. It's an amazing community, and like everybody knows each other and is connected in some way. And it's awesome, just to like, build your, relationships up with people. Cause it's like, you meet people who you guys can help each other in the scene, but it's also genuine friends, that you actually grow like an actual bond with beyond business, which is awesome. I mean, some of my best friends that are besides, take music out of the equation, I've met through the music industry, which is amazing.
Couldn't agree more. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in a small town in Indiana, man, and there wasn't a lot of DJs and producers and people who liked electronic music. And I had a lot of good friends back then, and they're still good friends, but it wasn't until I came to Chicago and I connected with people that were pursuing this as a passion and they wanted to make it their long-term goal. I was like, hey, me too. We have a lot in common, but more than just music. It's like, somebody just said to me recently, it's not the pursuit of happiness, it's the happiness of the pursuit. And I see that.
That's good. So I haven't heard that. I like that.
Isn't that really good? Yeah.
That's good.
I was like, that's exactly how I feel about house music, and just like enjoying it and going to the shows, being a fan first.
Right.
And
that's very important.
Very important. Very important. And that's really the most fun part to me is, I'm not the guy who's necessarily sure. I like being backstage and drinking from the bottle of 1942, but I do like going front row and supporting the homies and just like being a fan. And being a fan is what made me want to be a DJ. So I don't know if that resonates with you. Yeah,
it 100% resonates with me. Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, I like really liking it and really liking house music, and the culture and everything is super important, because it's like at the end of the day, everybody's in it for different reasons or whatever, but you're going to enjoy the ride the most if you really actually enjoy what you're doing and enjoy the music. Like if you're just doing it because you want to be famous or make money, I mean, you could still be successful. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you can't, but it's, you're never really going to get the full fulfillment out of it if that's your main goal.
Well said. I was going to say the word is fulfillment. Having success on Instagram or on the charts or on the stage. How many artists have you seen or heard of that they're huge, they're massive, right? But then they're alone in the green room and they travel alone and there's no one there with them. And that's sad life, man. Like
that is very sad, but very true.
It's very true. It's the harsh truth. And I don't see that in the house community, or I don't really hear of it in the house music community, I should say. So
not as much for sure.
Not as much for sure.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. Love that though. I mean, Los Angeles must have been a pretty fucking awesome place to grow up though. Like what was it like growing up in LA and the electronic music scene? When did you even get into dance music?
Yeah, so I grew up in Thousand Oaks, which is just outside of Los Angeles. I was really, so my first kind of steps into the music scene was I was really into like rock and like, alternative rock and stuff. So I started going to like, you ever heard Warped Tour before? Yeah. So I started going to Warped Tour and those kind of things when I was like, honestly, probably too young to be going to those things, like 12, 13 years old.
You had cool parents then.
Yeah, no, they were super cool. And I think I crowd surfed for the first time when I was like 13 years old.
Shit.
It's pretty crazy now thinking about it like as an adult. But so yeah, I started going to those, and then I got really into hip hop. So I started, and I'm still really into hip hop.
Me too.
I got really into that. And then probably when I was in high school, I started getting really into electronic music. And then I started going to events when I was probably like 17 and, Insomniac events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then electronic music resonated with me more than any type of music has, more than hip hop, more than anything. Yeah. And that's still true to this day, obviously. And so then, I just I was going to events, getting into it. And then I was like, hey, I want to, maybe get more involved in this. And then I started DJing and then kind of went from there.
the rest was history. What was your first mixer that you got?
My first mixer, it was a Tractor S4.
Oh, the S4. That's what S4. I had too, actually. Yeah, we were spoiled. Huh?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty decent. Yeah, Tractor S4. I was in college when I got it. I was in, I want to say sophomore in college, freshman. I was in college when I got it.
Right.
And for the first year or so of having it, I was just DJing in my room, just like to nobody or to friends. to friends or whatever. And then I played my first event in 2014 or 2015, I want to say. And it was like a desert festival of like a small desert, like not like a festival. It was a small desert event. I don't know if festivals are appropriate. I know. It was like a desert event and it went really well, actually. It was a lot of fun. And then from there, I just played a bunch of stuff when I went to college at UCSB in Santa Barbara.
Oh man, that's amazing.
So I started playing a bunch of, just parties and stuff like that. And it was actually funny because back then I was still spinning like house music, like deep house and some tech house and stuff. And I was one of the only DJs in Santa Barbara who was playing that style of music.
Yeah, I bet.
No, I won't say the only one. I'm not going to say I'm the only one, but I was one of the only ones.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because I would play these parties and, people were spinning, trap, Flostradamus, like RL Grime, a bunch of hip hop. So I kind of stuck out a little bit, but people liked it though. People dug it.
Danceable. UC Santa Barbara is a really pretty lively scene. What's their EOS Lounge?
EOS Lounge, yeah, EOS. I've played there.
EOS.
Some people say EOS. I don't know if there's really a wrong or right way.
Okay.
But that's actually the first club I've ever played at.
Oh shit, man. Because I was traveling up Pacific Coast Highway from Los Angeles all the way to San Francisco, and we stopped at Santa Barbara for a night. And I don't know, I just happened to be there on a poppin' night, and I was like, I thought this was a chill beach town, and it is, but like, there's a lively music scene there. What was it like in college? Like, you tasted success then pretty early on, got the bug.
Yeah. So as I said, in college, I was mostly, I was beginning to just play a bunch of parties and stuff, and then they hit me up to play there at EOS, and that was like my first club gig. And like I'd play like parties with a bunch of people and little events here and there, but it was funny because that was actually the first time I had ever used CDJs ever.
How'd it go?
It was in a club. It went pretty well, honestly. I went pretty heavy on the YouTube tutorials before. And I was like, honestly, I was such like a nervous wreck showing up there. It was like this daytime like event at EOS. And the most nerve-wracking part was, I think it was Seven Lion. You know Seven Lions?
Yeah, of course.
He was there and he like was watching my set. And I'm like, and it was my first time playing on CDJs. And I was like, this is just, it was bad. The thing is though, it went well though. Like actually, I'm not going to say it went bad. It went well. It went fine, but it was, I was sweating bullets.
Yeah. You weren't going crazy in the effects. You were just beat matching, being absolute fundamentalist.
Simple. Just trying to get to the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I had a similar experience too. I went to IU, Indiana University, which is a big school, and we brought DJs in there, and that's when I started DJing. The first time I ever played on CDJs, I think I was opening up for Blau, and I was like, fuck, dude. Yeah, and he was like setting up his Ableton equipment as like I'm playing, and I'm just like, whew, there's a lot of people here. Shit's real, but I'm gonna get to the finish line, just like you said. So I had a similar experience.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary, but everybody, I feel like that's part of coming up and being a DJ is you're going to have those experiences where you're way outside of your comfort zone. And
absolutely.
I would say like growth starts where your comfort zone ends. So it's like I feel like when you step out of your comfort zone and do those things that make you the most nervous, that's usually when you'll grow the most as, as a person, but as a musician, especially.
Absolutely. You have to put yourself in those situations. I think it's mature enough to even know what your comfort zone is. And then knowing that if I do this, if I jump off this ledge, like, you know what? I gave it a shot, and that's what life's all about.
100%. 100%.
So you were definitely DJing though before you started producing. When did you actually start producing? Like, were you already Kaysin at this point?
So I started dabbling in production in college as well.
Okay.
And I was kind of like really not, I don't know. I didn't know a lot. I was just self-taught. Mm-hmm. And I was in FL Studio for a while, just making really simple kind of house music.
Yeah, we have a similar upbringing. It's a pretty program. It was fun. I was like, boop, 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 boop.
It was good. I enjoyed it. And then I got Ableton, in college, I dabbled in Ableton. I think I released like a few SoundCloud tracks, but I didn't start seriously producing music until I graduated college.
Okay.
And then once I graduated college, I was like, okay, I'm actually going to like try to actually learn the fundamentals and take this more seriously.
Right.
And then that's when I started seriously producing music. And then there was a couple year gap. And then I started really releasing, you know, stuff that I'm proud of.
So what year was your first release? Because, you know, I try to do my digging here, man. I went SoundCloud mining. I found 2018 on Laza. Was that your first release in 2018?
That was not my first release. My first release on SoundCloud was like 2016, I want to say.
But it's on private? Is it out there still?
I think it's gone. I think it's no longer available. I think it's no longer available. It's just, I don't know. It's just,
I understand. I've got shit on private too, my man.
Yeah. So there's like my first couple tracks that like people who have been with me since day one, they know them. And like sometimes my friends will still throw them on and stuff, which I hate.
I love it. That's a good friend. Yeah.
Because I'm just sitting there like, this is the most garbage mixdown I've ever heard in my entire life. But yeah, there's like my first release was probably like 2016, 2015. The first couple are private, but then the stuff you can find online is the stuff where I think it's like, okay, I can leave this up.
Right. Where you started taking it seriously.
Exactly.
So would you say around 2017, 2018 is when you decided to turn this hobby into a passion and a potential career?
I would say so. That's when I started kind of really, you know, because I was after college, I was, you know, kept DJing. I was playing clubs and stuff. Just here and there. I wasn't getting booked all over the place, but I was kind of like, you know, I'm going to see what can happen. I'm going to see if I can, you know, take this production thing a little bit more seriously and see what happens. And I'm glad I did. You know, things are finally, I feel like just now starting to really pan out production wise for me. So I'm stoked.
Definitely, man. Seriously. It was so cool running through all your tracks. Like, and I got to say, I mean, even in the 2018s, man, like pretty good stuff. I mean, you at least had a very good foundation of track layout and honestly, I would call it track management. Like you don't follow this template, Nick, but you have a really, really, I would say wise way about going about your productions. I've listened to a lot of fucking house music, man. You know, This is episode 176, I think, right? Jesus. So I've had at least 100 house producers on here. And I've listened to a fuck ton of tracks.
I can only imagine. So
I should probably be an A&R too.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, maybe that's the next step.
I would love that actually. But like when I listen to your tracks, I don't know. I hear it from a different perspective, you know, producer to producer. I think about maybe how you would have laid these tracks out. And that's why I'm so excited to run through these with you, man, because you've been really crushing it. And it's just cool to see someone like you continue to pursue and get better and better and raise the bar. Collaborations, remixes, originals. Congratulations to you, man. Like, seriously, very, very special producer.
I appreciate that. I really, really do.
Yeah, I got your back, bro. But the 2018 Feeling So Good and Like to Party. Let's check out one of Kaysin's first label releases. This one's called Like to Party off Laza. We start to already kind of get like this tech house vibe that you have, the mover and the groover, bro. I mean, did you have any mentors during this time in 2018? Like what really took you to that next level? Was it YouTube University? Was it just your own willpower?
I would say it's my own willpower and YouTube University. I would say I never went to school for music or anything. And there's definitely people who have taught me stuff along the way. But if I'm being honest, I would say the majority of my production and mixed down knowledge I've self-taught, which is not, I'm not even trying to say that in like a, you know, like, a stunting way. I think, to be honest with you, if I could go back in time, I would probably have asked for more help from other people because I would have learned a little bit quicker. But I am mostly self-taught. And about that time is when I was really diving into tech house. And that's about when Latman was really blowing up and stuff. And I was like a huge Lotman fan. I'm lucky to call him one of my good friends now, but I was a huge Lotman fan. So that was kind of when I was starting to like pivot more towards that like tech house.
Real quick, he's like the nicest guy ever. Joe Bradley, right? That's his name?
Joe, yeah. Homie.
Dude, absolute. I talked to him on Holy Ship. Thought I was going to be 2 minutes.
talked to him for 30 minutes. I was like walking away like, that is the fucking one of the best guys I've ever met in general.
He's one of the most genuine people I've met in the industry, I would say. He's just, because I've seen the way he talks to, whether it's a fan or somebody in the music industry or a big person in the music industry. And it's pretty much the same across the board, which is important because if you're a player in the industry or you're like, you work for a label or you own a label or you're a big DJ, people are gonna, be nice to you a lot of the time. Yeah. But then like how they talk to people who are below them, like, fans, or I'm not saying you're below, but I'm saying like I've seen him talk to random fans where it's like they don't have anything really to offer him, and he talks, just as nice. So he's just a genuinely good guy, and luckily I've met a lot of people like that in the industry, those are the people you want to hang around and keep around.
So true. He makes it like people like that. Sometimes you think they're so far away, they're not reachable, but like seeing his success and meeting him makes it tangible. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
That's a normal good guy. Like, I think I'm a normal good guy too. Maybe I can do this as well.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. The normal good guys is like, those are the people you want to, keep around and go to for advice and stuff. Cause they're the people who will, really try to steer you in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny you bring him up because your Hood Politics Wait All Night EP in 2019. Like I've had all the Hood Politics guys on the show before, and more than friends, Mike Clementi is a big Latman fan. And during this time they had a real, like Hood Politics has a certain sound, but they're not boxed in, to parallel to or repopulate Mars South of Saturn. There is a story we're trying to tell here, but it's not like every single track is the same. Not to maybe call out another label that releases the same song. Do what you're going to do.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
But this EP, dude, like Laza, and then all of a sudden this fucking fire ass EP comes out, 3 absolute bangers. DJ Susan says it himself. No B-sides, certainly no C-sides here, Nick. Like,
let's check out my favorite track from the Wait All Night EP off Hood Politics Records. This one's called Wait.
Dude, this one was so special. And I mean, how did it feel? Just like this was an up and coming label still at this point.
Yeah.
But distribution, the relationship must have meant something important to you, right?
No, it was great because that was my first official release as far as like on Spotify, Apple Music, Beatport and such.
Right.
And it definitely got me a really good taste for like it left a good taste in my mouth for the music industry, I would say, because the Hood Politics guys and DJ Susan and Nutty and all them are like, I mean, I don't have to tell you, they're some of the nicest, most genuine guys you'll ever meet.
Absolutely.
So, for them to sign my music and then they put me on some shows and then for me to finally meet them and stuff and hang with them was awesome. And it was great. And I haven't released with them since then, but I definitely want to change that, hopefully soon because they're great guys. And like anytime I connect with them, it's like old friends. So yeah, I was really happy with that EP. It was like my first official release and it felt good. It was received well. So I was really stoked on it.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. And 3 tracks, a lot of DJs don't put out 3 tracks. I mean, let alone albums, let alone more than 2 tracks. And it was just really cool to see. Like, I don't know. I kind of felt the energy like you were ready to fucking release some music because there's a good pace you have on these tracks. It was a little bit quicker compared to maybe the Laza releases at least. And it just was well done overall, man. So I just wanted to
appreciate that. Yeah.
Sticks out in the Hood Poly discography, in my opinion.
I'm glad you say that. Yeah, I'm stoked on him. It's like I feel like it's funny because it's like that was 2019, which is not that long ago, but I feel like I've grown a trillion since then. So it's like it's funny to even like think about those tracks. I haven't heard them in a while. I admittedly don't play them anymore, but I still am really proud of them.
I understand. Sure. I understand that 2019 does seem like a long time ago, but it really wasn't.
It's really not. I have to remind myself of that sometimes because it's like I also feel like with the events of the last year and a half, I feel like I know for me, speaking for myself, my whole look on time and stuff is totally warped. It's totally messed up.
So true. The concept of time means something much different to me. It also, if you flip it, it's like inspiring in the sense that in a year or two, so much can happen.
100%. 100%.
But as you said before we went online, man, you're not an overnight success. You're 10 years in the making success.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it is. Like a lot of times there's like a lot of, you might not get noticed to the general public until a certain point, but a lot of times there's a lot of work that goes before that.
Absolutely, man.
Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, I'd say.
9 times out of 10 for sure. I think that's pretty good statistic.
It's pretty accurate, I would say. I'm a statistician on the side, so I'd say it's pretty accurate.
Love it, brother. So I want to ask you about your understated recordings release, Take Me. I think this is one of your most underrated tracks. And look, we're going back in this discography right now. I don't know if you play this track anymore, bro, but I hadn't heard this one until like last week. I immediately downloaded that shit because I love, like, let me think how to phrase this question. When producers like you who by the books maybe are a tech house producer really throw in different elements, new disco house, tech house, and this track has it all, man, all over this dope rolling bass line. And that's why I think it's so cool, because when I go forward in time to where you're at now, I don't know if you draw elements or inspiration from the track, but I really think you stood out with such a unique sound in this one. What was this track like for you? What were you inspired by?
Man, I'm trying to think back to making that track, because yet again, it seems like so long ago, but it wasn't. It was like 2.5 years ago.
I understand.
I just think that the vocal, the Take Me, the vocal, I just kind of started with that. And then I know I wanted to make like kind of a groovy rolly bass line with it. Yep. I'm like trying to remember how it sounds, to be honest. It's funny because one of my friends actually, just like we were talking about your friends playing old tracks, one of my friends was actually just over at my house, and he was DJing and he dropped it. And it was like the first time I had heard it in like 6 months or longer. I was like, oh, this is my song, huh?
I know this song.
But yeah, I don't know. It kind of just came really naturally and fluidly. And I felt like it was a good follow-up to the Hood Politics release. Yeah. And it was cool because I love the Understated guys, and they're just an awesome team. And it's definitely different than what they normally release, because they kind of go all over the place too with their sound. And it was definitely more of a tech house track, but they really liked it. And, they took a chance with it, and it was well received too. So I was really happy with that one.
Yeah, I think it's a great track. And it's funny to fast forward to now. That's why I brought it up. Body Moves is it Aaliyah Solomon? Am I saying that?
Aaliyah Solomon, yeah.
I mean, this is like a steroid version of that, bro. Like it's got that new disco groove. It's really cool. The vocals are awesome.
Let's check out this absolute heater. This one's called Body Moves by Kaysin, featuring Aaliyah Solomon off Understated Records.
Had you ever collaborated with like original vocalists like that before?
No. Well, okay. So not in that sense. No.
Okay.
So on my Get Twisted release on Weekend, I have a vocal sample from Somi, but it's not. But that's just a vocal sample. It was just like a whatever. As far as like a singing vocal, like actually that was the first time.
Dude, so cool. What was the collaboration process there? I know sometimes somebody will have an acapella ready. Sometimes a producer will have a work in progress. What was the timeline like that for that release?
I made the track, and then it was just, I got connected to her through a mutual friend, and just kind of said, see if she wanted to do something on it, and kind of just left it open-ended. And that's what she came back with. And I was just really stoked with the result. I mean, I didn't even really have to mess, like there wasn't any kind of pitch correction or anything. It just sounded really good right off the bat.
Wow.
And she's very talented, and it flowed really well. And that Body Moves is definitely one of my favorite tracks I've ever made. And I'm really, really happy with it. And it goes off when I play it. And it's different too. Like it stands out, which is kind of like why I like it so much. I feel like it's very different than other things. And yet again, it was cool to release on Understated because they're a great team and they kind of like to release stuff that's a little bit different. So I was really happy with it. I'm really stoked on that one.
Really, really cool track, man. Very creative. And it's cool to see you collaborating with vocalists like that too. I think, that's the thing that makes house music so unique is a singer can do so much over a track like that, whether it be more left field or more traditional. And you gave her an awesome track to work with there, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's like still probably in my top 3 of my tracks that I've ever made. Like as far as just what I like and like what I'm happiest with, that's definitely up there, I would say.
For sure. You just mentioned Get Twisted, Groove on Display, and Believe CP. Bro.
Yeah. They're dope.
What the fuck? You brought up Weekend? That is a track.
Well, we got to check this one out. It's called Weekend, featuring Somi off Kaysin's Groove on Display EP by Get Twisted.
Is a fucking track, man. Like both EPs so special. And again, like we hear this one was released in 2020, right? So you've got a few reputable label releases out, but clearly your sound is stepping up. Did you feel different in the studio? Like, could you kind of tell I'm getting a better knowledge of like the actual sound design process, like mixing, mastering, everything?
Absolutely. I would say like, even though between 2019 and 2020 is 1 year, I would say the tracks I released in 2020 are a pretty major step up, I would say, as far as just like quality and just, arrangement and sound design and everything.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, I work, I produce 7 days a week. I go really hard in the studio, and I know I don't release a ton of music, but I'm always working at it and I'm always trying to get better and stuff like that. So I feel like that's really kind of showed itself in my 2020 releases, and it's definitely going to show myself in my next couple releases as well, for sure. So yeah, I mean, Get Twisted is an awesome label. I'm really good friends with the Tough Love guys. They're really awesome. They've been, big supporters and, really liked my music from day one. So it was really awesome for them to sign 2 EPs. I definitely want to release with them again because it was a great experience.
Yeah, I've only heard great things about their label, man.
They're awesome. Good. And the label's super cool. Like Get Twisted releases some killer tracks. I mean, I think Susan's released with them. A bunch of friends have released with them, and it's always quality stuff.
Always quality stuff. Yeah. It's just cool because I don't know. When I first put on some of those songs, I was like, man, I know something's happening. He was working in the studio. He felt something, a little bit of magic happened.
Yeah. It's I definitely feel like my music, you can see where I took the steps up in terms of like, and not to like toot my own horn or anything like that, but like, I definitely feel like, and it's tricky because like as a musician, as somebody who's always learning and always trying to get better and always, watching tutorials and trying to improve, it's great because you're always getting better. But the tricky part is that sometimes the difficulty is that it's easy to look at tracks that you released, 6 months or a year ago, and you're kind of like, because you're kind of like, a little bit,
I know.
I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Yeah. But the one thing I will say is tracks from the beginning of 2020 till now, I play all of my music released from 2020 till now. And I'm really happy with everything I've released. I think obviously, yet again, I think I'm better than I was then, but everything I've released from early 2020 till now, I'm very, very satisfied with.
Definitely. And I have a lot of people that aren't necessarily DJs and producers or in the back end of the music industry. And one thing that they always seem to be surprised by is how long it takes to get a track released on a label, right? So the track I know the most recent remix you did in a pretty short turnaround, but sometimes you can make a track a year ago and it just get released. And where you're at as a producer a year ago and now is like, what you just said, it could be worlds different.
It's very difficult. And it's, when I was younger, I used to not be the most patient person, I would say. I was just very impatient as far as, especially when you're younger and you're just a kid. But I would say, like, as you get older, you get more patient. But, being in the music industry has definitely taught me patience like nothing else could, I would say, having to wait for releases and stuff. And when I first got started, it killed me having to wait for a label to release it. Nowadays, it still sucks, but I definitely I'm more okay with it and I'm more accepting of it, especially working at a label too. It's like there's a lot that goes into it and there's a lot of moving parts. So definitely being in the music industry, no matter what area of the music industry you're in, you have to be patient and you have to be able to wait and you have to love the music that you make enough that you're okay with it being released a year from now. Cause it's like, if you're not going to love it a year from now, then you probably shouldn't release it.
Wow, that is some genuine advice right there, ladies and gentlemen. Clip that shit. Woo! Patience is a virtue. Absolutely.
100%.
I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. Now, it's time to get in some of the meat and potatoes here, man. Some of your best music, your South of Saturn, Repopulate Mars releases. Just absolutely incredible tracks. The Will Taylor, The Way, the Kaysin and John Summit remix.
Y'all gotta peep this one with me right now. This one's Will Taylor, The Way, and the John Summit and Kaysin remix off South of Saturn.
You always jump right in, saying you're thinking that this is love, falling for me, falling for
not even going to say anything. I just need to hear the door to door on this, bro, because this is a special remix. And it's really cool because you're someone who really does something unique with remixes. And in the house and particularly tech house space, sometimes you hear a lot of the same. And listening to the original and then listening to your guys' remix, it's you guys, it's not
totally
just like
different.
It's not a bootleg, it's not an edit, like it's totally different.
A total flip, for sure. Yeah, that remix obviously is definitely my most successful track to date.
For sure.
And yeah, it was cool. It was just, so we signed this Will Taylor release, these 3 really, really sick, kind of more minimal tech kind of tracks. Will Taylor's awesome. I'm a big fan of his. He's a great guy. And John is a good friend of mine. And we were talking about getting in the studio to make a track. And then it just kind of came along and Lee was like, oh, we really need a remix for this. And I was like, well, me and John are about to make a track, so why don't we just remix it together? He's like, yeah, that sounds great. And we made the remix, and working with John was obviously a ton of fun. He's a good friend. It was really great working with him and learning from him as well. And it ended up, it went really, really well. And obviously, it's my most successful track. And it was cool because, we made it and it got released during COVID, during quarantine.
Right.
So I got to play it one time before quarantine, one time at a club in Orange County, Focus, and it was great. It went off. It was awesome, but it sucked because when it was truly released, it's like I wasn't able to play it at all. Yeah. So when I was able to actually play it in the club for the first time, like 5 months ago, I would say, it felt, even though the track was almost a year old at that point, it was like I was like, okay, like we did something here. And like, it's still awesome because I play that track, almost every set and it gets an insane reaction. So I'm very proud of that track and, it's a really cool one.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's just cool because, we'll get into South of Saturn and Repopulate Mars, but it's really cool to see a platform created for a unique sound like that.
Yeah.
And again, to still not be boxed in. And it just is so cool. Like, again, what you did as a remixer. And I think remixing, some people have different opinions of it. I know a lot of producers that you can't remix this track. Like you can't touch the original. And then there are other guys that are like, no, I love remixes, like put your spin on it and shit. But
totally.
It's like it's almost like a pop culture thing. It's like sometimes the remix gets bigger than the original. And I don't know, that must be kind of strange for some people, but at the same time,
for sure,
any publicity is good publicity. And if you put a great spin on it, then it's just putting a little bit more of a cherry on top of a beautiful piece of art. That's how I look at it, please.
For sure. Yeah. I really enjoy doing remixes. I mean, there's always, as we kind of said, especially the tech house scene, I do see a lot of people remixing tracks and it's like just two versions of the same track. And
exactly.
It's like, not to call anybody out or anything. Everybody's entitled, they can do whatever they want, but it's kind of silly, I think. So it's like, I feel like if you're going to remix a track, you should really, really make it different and really, try to bring something different to the table for it to work. So I've done quite a few remixes and I really enjoy them. I really enjoy having stuff already there and then trying to like listen to the original and flip it. I enjoy doing remixes, which is why I've done quite a few of them. I really like doing them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, outside of some of your other tracks we talked about before, the Roger That, Penetrate, Tough Love and Kaysin remix, again, dude, just fuck. Like, massive repopulate release. And once again, you're just achieving another level of sound. And at this point, you had been A&R for Repopulate for a while. Like, the song aside, what did this mean to you as just a contributor of the label now releasing on the label?
It felt really good. And it was definitely a long time coming, I would say. I always knew that I wanted my first release on the label to be the right one. I don't want to release on the label just because I work at the label. You know what I mean?
I knew you're going to be your own harshest critic. You answered my question.
Yeah. And like, I wanted it to be right. And, it just worked out, yet again, me and Tough Love were talking about collabing and one thing led to another and we collabed on this remix and obviously they're extremely talented guys. Mm-hmm. So making that remix with them was awesome. And that track Penetrate, Roger That I love that track. We actually signed that a while before it was released. Mm-hmm. And Roger That's very talented. So to be able to remix that track when I really loved the original was awesome. So yeah, that was a really, really cool one. I was really happy with how that went down. And that's another one that when I play it, it's awesome.
It snaps, bro. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just the sound design is just so fucking dope on it, man.
Yeah.
It was a less is more approach. And I think that's a cool thing about what you do with house music.
For sure. No, I appreciate that. It's a good one. It has very like a kind of a spacey vibe, but it's cool.
Yeah. Spacey.
A Mars vibe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. Now we got to chat about this one real quick. Your most recent release, Eyes Everywhere and Dread MC. Tell Them, the Kaysin remix on Rock Bottom Records.
All right, you guys got to hear this one before we talk about it. This one's called Tell Them by Eyes Everywhere, featuring Dread MC in the Kaysin remix off Rock Bottom Records.
Dude, again, I gotta tell the story, bro. Like, DJ Susan dropped this at peak hour on a Sunday night at number 9 at Prism in Chicago, like the most poppin' spot to be for house music across the whole city. And I looked at him and I was like, "What is this?" And he goes, "Kaysin." And I'm like, dude. And I think I was listening to the song. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is jamming." And then in the second drop, you have this. I hear the sirens. I'm in Chicago.
Yeah.
In the second drop, you have this just like really subtle, just like synth stab. I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head, but it's just so simple. And I'm just like, oh, just that little bit, that little extra 10%, Nick. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that remix that I just released like less than a week ago at this point. It was pretty recently.
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy with that. Definitely. I turned down a lot of remixes this year because I was really wanted to focus on, my productions and my collabs and everything that I have coming out and I'm working on.
Right.
So I turned down quite a few remixes, but then Eyes Everywhere, these guys, I'm good friends with them. We actually have 2 tracks that we have coming out and they're awesome. And they asked me, they're like, "Hey, I don't know if you want to do this remix." And the Dread MC vocals are so sick. So when I heard the vocals and like the synth stabs and stuff that they put in there, I was like, I have to remix this.
Yeah,
I have to. I can't say no. Dread MC is obviously a legend and stuff, so working with his vocals was super sick.
Yeah, it's an awesome track, man. Well done. And it's just like running through all your music and getting to this point with it. It's clear how much effort you've put in. Like, you don't have to release a ghetto blaster amount of music. Like, fucking love those guys. And they've been in the game for a long time. They just pump out tracks. When I see a producer like you who like takes their time with the process, the releases are very well like manicured. Like, this one just speaks volumes about how far you've come, man. So congratulations to you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. And it was well received, and yeah, it's good. I have 2 gigs this weekend, and I'm extremely stoked to play it out and see how it goes. I think it'll go well, but you know, I'm stoked for it.
You're gonna do the same face I did. Like, this shit fucking stinks.
Who is this? Shazam my own track.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, that's me.
That's either the best publicity stunt or the cockiest thing I've ever heard. I'm not sure.
Just Shazam it. This is me.
Wow.
Maybe I'll do it. I'll send you a video just for you.
Dude, that's G. That's some G shit, honestly.
Oh, I love that.
Amazing, dude. Amazing. So we brought it up a few times before, your relationship with Repopulate Mars and South of Saturn. Your A&R, and before we kind of get into the label, I think a lot of people know the word or the term A&R. Can you maybe give us like the Spark Notes definition on what your role is and what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, for sure. So at A&R, I mean, yet again, it depends on, you know, who you ask and what label. Everybody has their own kind of, you know, jobs for it. But for me, it's like, I would say I'm the link between the artist and the label.
Okay.
So for, you know, when it comes to releases, I'm the link. So my day to day, I listen to all the demos that we get in the demo box. So I listen to all of them.
How many?
So many. We get hundreds a day, literally.
Jesus.
It's insane. It's insane. It's crazy how much we get. So I listen to all the demos from the demo box, and then all the demos that I get sent separately through artists that we've signed or artists that I know, friends. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I kind of filter through that, and then I pick the best ones and I kind of give those to Lee, and then he listens, and then we kind of chat, and then it goes from there. So I do that. But then besides that, I also am the link to the label throughout the process. So when we sign a track, I'm like the link, you know, kind of, you know, talking about timeline and about, you know, social media and marketing. I kind of like in the bridge between the two, awesome. You know, to kind of like, you know, link everything together.
Love it. Yeah, I appreciate that breakdown. I think everybody's kind of heard the term A&R, and it's kind of a loose definition in this day and age. Like,
it is, absolutely.
There's A&Rs for agencies. There's A&Rs for festivals. There's A&Rs for labels. Like, there's A&Rs for A&Rs.
Right. And what does it really mean? I think, yeah, it definitely means it's something different for every label. But for me, it's like the demos and then the personal relationships, you know, linking people to, you know, form the releases. And then if the demos don't work out, kind of helping them to, you know, get there on their next one and stuff like that, giving feedback and doing all that. Yeah,
for sure. That's awesome, man. And I think you're the Merriam-Webster definition of it, honestly. Like, there's no loose definition of what you're doing. And
I appreciate it.
Mad respect, bro, because I mean, it's just been so cool to see that label grow. Obviously, like, I'm in Chicago. I've been here for six years now. And Lee is a totem in house here, bro, you know, and like, he's been doing it. Repopulate launched in 2016, South of Saturn in 2019. And I just want to read this quote about how he described the difference between the labels. And I don't know if you've heard this before, but it makes a lot of sense to me. For those that aren't familiar with the label, if you're not, please go fucking check it out right now. What are you doing? But he said, Mars is considered uninhabitable, but Saturn is not. Saturn is a dissonant place that some consider evil. South of Saturn features a rawer sound, little less polished and a little more experimental. And I was like, God damn, bro, write a book. That was good.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I would say definitely South of Saturn, we're able to sign things that are a little bit weirder and a little bit more left field, a little bit different. And that's not always, it's not a total rule. It's not like, oh, you need to send us weird stuff for South of Saturn, because that's not the case with every release. But I think we're willing to experiment a little bit more with South of Saturn than we are with Repopulate Mars, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and it's cool being able to, you know, sign twice the amount of music and be able to sign more music and turn down less music. So being able to have both labels has been, honestly, it's been really great, because we turn down a lot of music, but being able to turn down a lot less music and be able to like sign people on different labels has been great. It's been awesome.
For sure. And it's great to see what Lee's done. Obviously, he started Repopulate because they were getting so many demos on him and Jamie Jones level. Hot Creations, right?
Yeah, Hot Creations.
When did you get involved with Repopulate then?
I got involved, I think it was 2017.
Okay.
So shortly after the start of the label, I actually played on Groove Cruise. Are you familiar? Groove Cruise? Yeah.
I just interviewed Jason, bro, the CEO and founder. Yes. Great guy. Yeah. So I actually played on Groove Cruise in 2017, and I was like the smallest support act, on the lineup, and he was a headliner. Little tiny name.
Like if you look, it's a huge difference in font. I'll tell you that much. So I was there, and I had met Lee one time before, actually on a previous Groove Cruise, because I'd been on Groove Cruise once as just like a fan or whatever, and I'd met Lee and we just hung out.
Yeah.
And then on the next Groove Cruise, we actually hung out, and like we're really kind of spending a lot of time together, like, bouncing around the different stages.
Yeah.
He came to my set, which was super nerve-wracking. Especially because I played the smallest stage and there wasn't that many, like probably 50 people there, which it was fun. I had a great time, but it was but he like showed up, and it was just funny because like he pulled up with me and everybody's like looking like, oh, is that Lee Foss? And I'm like, all right. I was looking over at Lee. I'm like, I'm DJing.
Yeah.
But no, it was cool. Then he like came to my set and we just like chilled, partied, hung out all weekend. And then towards the end of the weekend, he was like, hey, like, I don't know if you're interested, but like I could definitely use some help, running this new label I started, Repopulate Mars. Would you be interested? I'm like, absolutely. Because at the time I was like, I'm DJing and producing, but I'm still obviously still have a job, and I was looking for a new job. So I was like, I'm super down. I mean, you know how it is though, when you talk to people, when you're partying and stuff, a lot of people make promises and say stuff that doesn't actually pan out. I mean, that happens a lot. So I kind of, to be honest with you, I took it with a grain of salt. I was like, we'll see. So we get back to LA. I called him and I was like, was that real? He was like, absolutely. That's real. Like, come over next week and like, let's get started. And
wow,
that's how it went.
Amazing. So basically since inception, I mean, at least to say, since he needed the extra help.
Yeah. I think I got on at like the 20 something release. So I've been on board almost since the beginning, but not the actual beginning. Yeah.
That's so cool, man. And that's such a Groove Cruise story too. Like, honestly, I
100%.
They're so about the community there and people making connections, and dude, to bring it full circle, it's like we talked about earlier. It's like people in the house music community, no one's untouchable. Everyone's reachable. Collaboration,
100%.
Competition, and you've obviously been instrumental in helping it grow by helping select the tracks that make it through to him.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Like, working at the label, it's been awesome. It's like not only working at the label because I really enjoy the job and I, really enjoy what I do, but it's just like being able to, all the relationships and connections I've made just working at the label has just been incredible for me. It's just, I've learned a lot, not just about making music, but more so about the music industry and, on whole. And learned like a lot of things about what people are doing right and people are doing wrong. Right. And I think that's made me well equipped for, as I get bigger as like a producer and as a DJ, I think I'm well equipped, to like be able to handle the different things that might be thrown at me. Whereas some people kind of blow up and they don't really know the music industry very well. And like, that's a recipe for you to get worked, I guess, or get screwed, which is unfortunate. I don't want anybody to get worked, but unfortunately, the music industry, as great as it is, it can be a cutthroat place. So I think it's taught me a lot about the industry and, been able to give me the right tools to hopefully, succeed at this one day.
Absolutely. I think you and I both know how important it is to understand the business side of the music industry, which is unfortunately something that a lot of artists either A, never learn, B, never get exposed to, or C, ignore. And that ends up being their downfall. And it's the truth of the matter. And we live in an adapt or die industry, and it's good
100%.
It's good to see you taking the approach where you want to get involved, dude. You know what I mean? Like that's how you learn the industry. You get involved.
100%, especially like, the best, you can learn stuff in school and stuff like that, but especially when it comes to the music industry, really getting in there and meeting people and talking to people, especially in the music industry is huge, and making those connections. That's probably where you're going to learn the most. I would even venture to say more than, school in a lot of ways, you'll learn just from kind of getting out there.
Definitely, man. Has there been any unforeseen obstacles? I'm sure there have over the past couple of years. And like, what are some things that you guys are like, I didn't expect this to happen. We got to figure a way out.
At the label?
Yeah, at the label, like as you've continued to grow. Because it's skyrocketed.
Yeah, I would say just as we get bigger, just being able to like, manage as releases get bigger and we're releasing music from bigger artists, like being able to like, manage expectations and being able to like, make sure everybody's happy. And as our events get bigger, that's definitely been a huge learning process for like, as we throw bigger events, at bigger venues, there's a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, just as you get bigger, especially with like stuff like, with sample clearing and stuff like that, and kind of legal stuff behind the scenes, it's been a lot of learning. I've spent a lot of times, Googling stuff and learning about stuff that I didn't know about. So it's definitely we've been learning as we go in a lot of cases. And luckily we have our label manager, Leon, he's also the label manager of Hot Creations. And
yeah, I've heard great things about him.
He's a great guy and he knows a lot. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, so he's well equipped to like, help us out with different things. But yeah, just learning as we go and stuff. And definitely there's been a learning curve with different things, but it's been great, and it's awesome. Like all these different things and all these lessons I've learned, I know regardless of what I'm doing 10, 15 years from now in the music industry, I know that those lessons I'm going to take with me for sure.
Yeah. And I think it's so cool to see someone like Lee and Leon have success by doing something other than just DJing. And I think that that's something that's so important to understand is becoming a successful artist isn't just being a worldwide touring act. In fact, I don't 100%. Even know. We've seen so many people. You could do the classic Avicii example, right? Like there is a timeline or an expiration date on how much you can tour and how much you can continue to balance music and the brand and everything else. And there are other ways to make music or make money in the music industry and contribute to the music economy. That's something I think about a lot too.
100%. And it's like, I think where I'm at right now is good because I kind of get that creative outlet, through my Kaysin project, but then also I kind of get like, the marketing and the management aspect through Repopulate Mars. Right. So those are kind of the both, like left brain, right brain kind of thing. So I feel like I kind of get both of those outlets through my two different jobs.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty great. And that obviously the end goal, obviously I want to, be well-known producer and release, music that does really well. But the way I look at it is if 10 years from now, I'm still kind of doing both, working behind the scenes and whatever, I'm totally cool with that. And I think that's probably a sustainable path because I don't know, like, especially
it is
being a DJ and being a producer. It's like a wave. Like, even if you're really, really well known, you're going to be big and then you're not going to be as big. You're going to be big, you're not going to be as big. So if you also, have, you own a label or you own a management company or you do this, then you'll kind of be able to balance out those kind of hills and valleys better. Whereas if you're just an artist, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's going to be times where things will get difficult no matter how talented you are.
Yep. So true. Because there's always the next big thing. And it's all about consistency. Now, I have so many people that watch the show that are DJs and producers, and being the head of A&R at a very reputable house label, you've given opportunities to well-known and upcoming artists, people like John Summit, Night Funk, big artists like Shiba San, Solardo, other guys like DJ Susan, Sid in West End, Kyle Walker, most recently King Topher. And, there's really, it's like, that's a little bit of everyone. And I guess like what I want to ask you is, what do you look for in a demo? And do you really even give a shit how big they are?
We don't really give a shit how big they are. No.
Yes, love that.
We don't. Like, obviously, I'd be lying if, obviously you think about that. It's something that you definitely think about when you're like, obviously, if they have a base, that things are going to do better. But in the end, we don't give a shit. We've released music from people who are really small, even though we know they might not do as well because they don't have as big of a base. But at the end of the day, releasing quality music is number one.
Yeah.
And that's my number one priority. And I know that's Lee's number one priority. So that's why if you look at our releases and you looked at who we've signed huge artists, and we've also signed artists that you probably never heard of.
100%.
So yeah, I think at the end of the day, something that's unique and, does something different, well polished. I mean, that's 100 times more important than you being a well-known name in the music industry. Way more important.
Couldn't agree more. What are you looking for then when you're listening to new demos then? Is it something that really just sparks your ear, or what's something maybe recently that you've signed that said, this is different, I like this?
Yeah, just something that catches the ear, something that it's tricky because it's like something that we would release that has the Repopulate Mars South of Saturn sound, but something that does something different. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people will send us demos and it's clear that they're trying too hard to be like some of the other artists that we've released, like the John Summits or the this or the that. Yeah. And it just comes off as really inauthentic. Yeah. But on the other end, we'll get some demos that are like, okay, this is a sick track, but like, you know, this, I don't really know how much you listen to our catalog because this is just, you know, not something we would release.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a kind of a fine line between the two.
Yeah.
You know, definitely listen to a label's catalog before you send something. So you kind of know, but you gotta be unique. You know, we're looking for something that's unique. This does something different. It's like, if you're gonna, I don't know, like, for example, like the whole party tech sound with the big synths on the drop, we kind of got away from that when it was kind of blowing up, just because we felt like it was kind of being overused and kind of overdone a little bit.
Totally.
And it's kind of like, we're still down for that sound, but it has to be unique. It has to be different. Like what new does it bring to the table? So I'd say uniqueness and polish, like something polished that's unique, is number one.
Yeah,
for sure. That's the most important. And that's the number one thing I'm looking for. And I know that's the number one thing that Lee's looking for, is unique, polished, something that's going to do well in the club, but also stuff that is going to sound good in the car and at home, and that you can stream and just, you know, chill to.
I like that. And I think that's the really cool thing about Repopulate. You know, I've interviewed so many different label owners, and I love asking that question because in one way or another, everybody cares the most about the music, which is why I have those people on the podcast. They're contributing to the music community. They're trying to make an impact. And I think, you know, that's how you guys feel about it too. But what you guys do is you tiptoe that line. I mean, look, dude, your remix with Summit that was released during the pandemic, that shit racked up over 100,000 motherfucking plays when there were no shows going on, bro. You know what I mean? So like that speaks numbers about the label, but also you have massive tracks from the likes of like Shiba San that absolutely blast a crowd. You know what I mean? Next level. And I think that's so cool and difficult at the same time. But again, what makes you guys special is being able to tiptoe that line between streamable and playable. For sure. And that's very important, especially in, you know, today's age. It's like, if you have a track that's too club focused, then it's like, that's, you know, it's going to go off in the club, but it might not be the best to listen to at home. But then if you have some stuff that's a little bit too cookie cutter and it streams great and it's really whatever, but then in the club, it's not, you know, whatever. And there's no right or wrong, you know, answer to music. You know, everybody can do whatever they want, but being able to tiptoe the balance between the two is something that we try to do. And I think as an artist, it's something that's really important. If you want to be successful, it's like, especially as somebody who makes tech house, you know, you got to make stuff that's going to pop off in the club, but you also need to think, is this going to pop off in somebody's, you know, Acura when they're driving to work at 7 a.m.? Because it needs to pop off in both things for you to gain fans and for the tracks to do well. It does need to pop off in somebody's Acura with a busted subwoofer in the Uber. 100%. In the Uber drive, you're in the Uber for way too long. I was in an Uber recently. This guy, it just keeps coming out, you know, like, because I need to change my lift picture because it's like my like press shot. And they're like, so like, are you in the creative field? I'm like, yeah, I'm a DJ, you know, and then like, eventually they keep asking me questions. Cause so many Uber drivers these days are like creatives trying to make a name for themselves. Yeah. They're like, oh, so you have a podcast? Cool. Like, let me show you my music. And I got in this guy's Uber, and it was supposed to be 10-minute rides. It was 45 minutes. He showed me all of his tracks, and he had a busted subwoofer in the back. And I was like, bro, like, how do you not hear that? And you like want to be nice. You don't want to. I'm trying to be so nice. Yeah. He's like, all right, I'm gonna message you. Like, I'll come on your podcast, bro. No problem. I'm like, yeah, for sure. It's so hard to be nice. Like, I know you probably have to say no to even a lot of friends and stuff too, right? Like, listen, it's not the right fit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially being like an A&R and stuff, like being able to like, you know, learning how to say no and be able to like turn people. It sucks. Like it always kind of hurts me when I have to do it, but I have to do it a lot, and I have to do it to even people who I'm good friends with. But at the end of the day, when you're a musician and like when you're making music, no matter how good you are, no matter how talented you are always going to have people saying no. Always. You're always going to get demos turned down. There's always going to be people who reject you, who don't like your music, people who say, you know, 100 people vibe with your set, but then 10 don't. It's inevitable. You can't make everybody happy. So you just got to be happy with the stuff you make, and you got to be happy with yourself. And if somebody say no, you know, just keep it going, keep it moving. How many stories have we heard where you get 99 no's and 1 yes? Just keep pursuing and make sure you love what you do. 100%. I mean, and there's so many artists that have released on Repopulate or South of Saturn that we've legitimately turned down 20 times or more. And then they finally sent us the track that was right. Wow. And it happens. Like I just recently got a track signed like 3 or 4 days ago to Sink or Swim. Nice. Congrats.
Which I'm super stoked on. Comes out in November. Woo. Really excited. But here's the thing. They've turned down 6 of my demos over the last year. They have 6 of my demos, and it could, and it hurts when you get your demos turned down, and it can be discouraging, but you just got to keep it moving. You got to keep it rolling, because when the track's right, the track's going to be right. And so, it happens. It happens to everybody, no matter how talented you are.
So true. I love that. Persistence, my man. Polite persistence too.
Polite persistence is number one. Some people try to, when you turn down their demo, they come off very.
Oh yeah, that's not the way to go about it.
It's kind of cringy to watch, because it's like this is not right. You know, it's hard. Everybody gets rejections, and you got to just keep rolling and say thank you. We'll try better, and it people notice that, and people notice how you react to things. And if you're polite and you're cool about it, they're going to be more down to keep listening and keep working with you.
Totally. Absolutely. And a response is a win, in my opinion, too.
Totally. And there's like a lot of labels that you won't get. I've gotten plenty of situations where,
ghosted.
And we try to respond to everything. I mean, there are demos that we miss, but generally speaking, we try to respond to everything that we get, more or less. And we get a lot of people who say like, oh, thanks for replying. Like, I'm pretty surprised you reply. And it's like, there are a lot, and not even to call out any labels, but there are a lot of labels who just don't respond, because it's happened to me. So I know that for a fact. So we do our best to respond to everybody, even if it's a no, we do our best.
For sure. No, and I speak on behalf of any producer that sends demos to a reputable label. Like, any response is a win, because then
a total win.
Usually they respond and it's like someone like you. It's like signed Nick, and it's like, hey Nick, like, thank you so much. Like, I appreciate it. Any feedback, blah, 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 whatever. And then all of a sudden, years later, like you said, 20 demos, Nick, this is the one. And you're like, this is the one. Let's fucking go.
Totally. I mean, even Susan, he sent us probably, I would say up to 10 demos before the direction and direction and body right. And he kept at it and he kept going, and now we got direction and body right. And those are, in my opinion, 2 of the sickest tracks we've released. So
absolutely. So sick, man. So sick.
Yeah.
Now I know you have a few minutes left. I want to ask you a question that I've been asking a lot of more people our age in the house music industry, but have a really good appreciation of where it's at right now. I don't think it's any surprise or shock to you or I that house music is really hitting a commercial level where festivals are mostly house music. You don't see so much bass and dubstep and mainstream. And you see artists like David Guetta having a Jack Back alter ego. You see Russell releasing tech house, Calvin Harris doing Love Regenerator, right? And a lot of times those guys, they started off loving house music, right? But you have to contribute, and you have to actually kind of maybe follow this mainstream thing that they did. And now they're coming back to house. I guess my general question for you, Nick, is do you think this is a good thing right now for the up and comers? Or is it saying, shit, everybody's in the house music lane now, it's more competitive than ever?
I think it's a good thing, because I think competition drives people to make the best product. Mm-hmm. I think competition is a good thing. I think when there's more people at it, everybody, the product gets better, and the actual, the music gets better, and things, kind of people push boundaries a little bit more when there's more people at it. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing overall. Yeah. And, a lot of people want to be like, oh, the tech house bubble is going to pop. And I don't really see it that way, because, tech house is not something that's new. It's been around since I think the 80s. So
yeah, dude, Chicago house started in the 80s. Yeah,
exactly. And I don't see it as like a bubble that's going to pop like you might have, some, certain genres of electronic music have. I think it's going to adapt. I think things that are popular now might not be as popular in 10 years. And we look at tech house 10 years ago, it's totally different than it is now. I think it's always going to adapt, but I don't see it popping. And I think it's a good thing. I mean, some people don't like it when some of these bigger guys get into it, but I like it. I like it as long as they kind of pay homage to the roots, and and they're willing to help lift up the smaller artists, and they're willing to kind of, put in the work, as long as they're not just trying to like sell it out and just trying to make it all about them. 100%. If they're trying to like, contribute to the culture, then I'm all about it. Even if it is somebody like a David Guetta or a Calvin Harris, like, as long as they're contributing to the culture and trying to lift other people up, then I'm all for it.
I couldn't agree more. And I think they are contributing to the culture, because, I remember getting into the EDM world, call it in 2011,
right. Yeah.
And you see people that are growing as artists, and then all of a sudden Afrojack plays their track on the main stage of Tomorrowland, and then their career catapults, right?
Exactly.
Now that's just been given to house music artists. Tiesto might play your fucking track. Like, that's huge. And I agree.
Massive.
We encounter a lot of techno and house elitists. Like, this is our industry. Don't come into it.
Gatekeeping.
Right? Gatekeeping. Exactly.
I hate it.
I hate it. We hate it. And I think too, the reason it's become so big is our generation. We still love the music so much, but we can't jump like we used to, but we still can dance like we used to. And that's
100%. 100%. Yeah. The gatekeeping is always so silly because it's like, I don't know, not to sound corny, but it's like music is the universal language.
Yeah.
It's something that everybody can understand, and it's something that's across the world and it's worldwide. So I think gatekeeping and trying to push people out of certain scenes, I think is so silly. It's like, it's great. And it can really kind of give people purpose, and you can meet a lot of people through it. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, man. And I'm glad we're on the same page. And honestly, everybody's been on the same page, big or small. And I think that question and your answer speaks numbers about where we're at in the industry too. Just speaking from your experience and the circle you're surrounded in, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
For sure, bro. Hey, listen, collaboration over competition. I can say it again and again.
Yeah, everybody can win. You can lift people up.
Everybody can win.
Somebody's success is not your failure. And I know it's like, sometimes you look at, especially in the age of social media, you see people getting a big booking or a big signing. It's normal to feel a little bit of jealousy. You're a human being. Like, you can't, whatever. It's okay. Everybody gets it. I get it. Everybody gets it. I know it for a fact. But I mean, everybody can win, and, everybody can succeed, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen for everybody if you keep at it in some form or another. So I love it. I'd rather look at it as like a family than like as some competition where everybody's trying to one up each other. It doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, it just goes to show this is our first time really talking right now. And you feel like a real friend to me, man. And it's just based upon the love of house music together.
100%. It brings people together. I mean, it's like the universal language. You meet so many people, and it's like you can connect with them over that so quickly. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. I love it.
Amazing. This has been such a fun interview, Nick. Before you go, what can you tell us about what's coming up over the next few months?
Yeah. So my next two releases, I have a single coming out on Sid's label, Night Service Only.
Oh,
I know you just had him on, right?
Yes, bro. Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah. So I got a single coming out on his label in mid-October. That one I'm super stoked on. This has been another one that I've been playing, and it's just been insane.
He only signs music he'll play in his live set, so this has got to be a heater.
Yeah, I don't want to like overhype it or anything, but it's a heater, and I'm really stoked on it. And then a month after that, I have a single coming out on Sink or Swim.
Wow.
So those will be those will probably be my two biggest tracks, I would say, more or less. And then I have a bunch of really, really cool stuff coming out in early 2021 that I can't talk about yet. But for now, those two.
It's almost 2022.
2022. I don't even know what year it is. I feel like we're in like month 20 of 2020. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's just been 100%. One long year.
Dude, the summer didn't even happen. It was like all of a sudden it's summer. It's gung-ho.
It's too fast. Time needs to, It's like the Noise You song. You don't realize you're in the moment till it's a memory.
Dude, God. It's so accurate.
It's so true. They're spitting facts on that song.
That track is so good.
It's really good. I love it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's going to be so sick. I'm excited to download those tracks and put them on the USB immediately because you're that type of motherfucking producer, bro.
Give him a rinse. I'll give you a little preview. I'll send them over. I got you.
It's the power of the podcast.
I'll give you the Sherm special.
Hell yeah. Kaysin, this has been so much fun. I really appreciate you taking some time. I look forward to meeting you in person as soon as possible. And just keep doing what you're doing, man. On behalf of the music community, what you're doing as an individual producer and your contribution with Repopulate Mars and South of Saturn, it means a lot. And I know you know that, but I just wanted to remind you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This has been an amazing interview. Thanks for having me on. It's been great to kind of chat about all this. And I really appreciate it. It's been great.
You're good at podcasting, bro. You're a very good speaker, very well spoken.
Thank you. This is actually my first long podcast that I've ever done. I've done short, like 15-minute ones.
We're just taking a road trip, bro. From Santa Monica to West Hollywood and during
traffic. Just chatting.
We're just caught in rush hour right now.
I love it.
Oh yeah, brother. Well, you have a good day. Enjoy your dinner. I'll talk to you soon. And for everybody that's listened all the way through, thanks so much for tuning in.
Thanks, man.
Man, do I love Sherm in the booth. Oh, hey, I think you do too. Hope you enjoyed that piece of content. If you're looking for more, make sure to go to my YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any upcoming Sherm in the Booth interviews, live sets, new music, exclusive artist interviews, Sherm's Word, sub-pack reviews, and more. This is your one-stop shop for everything entertainment. Cheers.